I'm a big fan of LA. I think LA is second to none in terms of one of the great cities in the United States. But at the same time, we've got challenges in LA. We've got high unemployment. We've got a very high rate of homelessness that has to be fixed. So we've got some real issues here, and we got major budget issues that the leadership has talked about that were pre-COVID budget issues, and it's going to be worse, obviously, now.
Yeah,
so we need to demand our leadership to make some really smart moves and some bold moves to get the city back on track. Otherwise, we will be in trouble.
And I want to ask you what those moves would be. But first, I'm curious if you could tell us how you would compare the situation in a city like Los Angeles to its recent past. In other words, are you worried about the direction it's going, but say, hey, it's still better than it was, a decade or two or three ago, or not? I mean, just kind of give me some kind of broader, deeper sense of the state of things.
I think the difference is from decades ago. I don't think it's as good as it was in the past, which is unfortunate. And that's why we need to change the trajectory. In the past, we were attracting a lot more headquarters. We were creating more jobs. We had more building going on in the city. There was really encouragement to grow your business in the city of Los Angeles. Right now, we've got very high costs of being in the city of Los Angeles. We've got crime rate going up. We've got a lot of people who are leaving. We got major corporations who have left the city, and that's just not the right direction for us to be. It's correctable, but it's got to get corrected soon. So I'm concerned, but I'm also optimistic we can fix it.
You remind me a little of Don Peebles, who we spoke to about kind of a similar situation in New York City. He's worried it could take decades to recover if policies aren't corrected. So let's talk about those. Like you said, this is correctable. You want smart policy moves. What do those look like?
Well, first of all, you got to get a budget that's in place. You can't run a massive deficit. Revenues are going to be way below what's expected. If you take a look at the trajectory over the next 3 or 4 years, there may be $1 billion deficit. So the city has to get its house in order. But you can't abandon services. So let me just tell you an example of living in Los Angeles, and we live in West LA. We have a very large homeless encampment down the street, which we need to take care of people. It's wrong to have people living on the street, and it's wrong for the community also to have to deal with that because it does have implications to the community, and it's unfair to the people on the street. We have the city that has stopped cleaning the streets throughout the city. We have city that's abandoned taking care of landscaping throughout the city. I have a median near my home that looks like we have a rainforest that's growing out there. Maybe that's a good thing for global warming, but it sets the wrong tone. And I'm a big believer in the theory of broken windows, right? I was when I was the police commissioner. You can't allow these things to happen because they build on each other. And it sets the tone that it's not a great place to be. It sets the tone, this isn't where you want to raise the family. It sets the tone, this isn't where you want to invest or build your business. And that's what needs to change. And so getting our finances in order is really important. Making sure we have the right things that we're dealing with in crime, the right police reform. And my God, we got to build affordable housing, and we've got to build housing for homeless so we get the homeless off the streets. It can all be done if there's the political backbone to actually make decisions that are in the best interest of the city and the residents and not in the best interest of elected officials or some kind of theories that they may have. And I think that's what's happening in New York. I listen, and I'm a big fan of Tillman. I love listening to him. I love listening to Don, what he talks about in New York. And I think it's happening in major cities across the country.
Rick, certainly some concerning trends in big cities. Another big trend is e-commerce. We're hearing some commentary from Macy's today that they believe their brick and mortar stores can be an advantage during the holidays. However, Nike seeing explosive growth with their e-commerce business. How does this shift to e-commerce with a record holiday peak, expected at least? How does that impact some of your retail businesses?
Well, I think the shift in e-commerce is great. Listen, years ago, I said the best thing that's happened to brick and mortar retail is Amazon because everybody's going to be smarter in how you engage the customer. So with all due respect to everybody, that's making these announcements right now, this isn't breaking news that you may want to serve your customer the way your customer wants to be served. And great retailers like Nike have a very smart strategy for brick and mortar retail, and they're exceptional with the experience that they give in their brick and mortar retail. The Nike store at the Grove is an exceptional experience. Their online is an exceptional experience. Great retailers should have both. And that's been historical. I mean, come on, let's go back to early times. Sears had stores and Sears had their store catalog. That was sort of the early version of online, right? Now, what happened is Sears lost their way. And so what you need to do is follow the customer. The customer is going to tell you how they want to be served, how they want to pick up their product, how they want to buy it, whether they buy a product at Nike at the Grove or whether they buy it online. What I care about is I've got the best in class retailer on my property, and that's what we focus on.